Good evening, Fernwood. My name's Neil. Thanks for coming down to spend some time with me while I do my little bit of episode by episode watch of Mary Hartman, an idiosyncratic soap opera from the 1970s. We are heading into the April 14th, 1976 episode 73. So let us catch you up on the happenings of last episode. Last episode, we started with Dennis getting a visit from maybe a few too many interested parties. He starts with getting a visit from Kathy, who he is not expecting. Kathy comes to complain that Mary told Kathy that Dennis wanted to sleep with her in the way that Mary actually did tell Kathy through means of talking about a fictional soap opera that she made up on the spot. Dennis is then visited by Roberta, and Kathy hides somewhere off camera for the entirety of that visit because she's afraid of seeing Mary. Roberta seems somewhat okay with the honesty of Dennis in terms of, the weird things that he happens to be doing with other people. And I'm not sure that's not a pre agreed kind of situation. That's just Roberta having a very reasonable approach to her relationship with Dennis. And that is interrupted by Mary coming over to visit. Dennis sends her straight away as quickly as he can. Apparently there was a whole plan that I missed, and I don't know where it was mentioned in the show because I kind of tried to look back a few episodes. But apparently, Dennis has made a plan that says that if Mary will sleep with him, then he will not marry Kathy. I'm not sure if that is in a scene that happened off screen somewhere, or if I'm just real dumb and didn't notice it in an episode that we did see them. But the last few visits that I've seen with Dennis, and I went back and reviewed them on my DVDs, I didn't see any mention of any such thing. Then we go over to the Haggers household. Loretta is practicing for her appearance on the Dinah show. She's super stoked with that. Charlie comes in with some mail, some of which includes the check, the royalty check from the song that Loretta put out, Baby Boy. And this one's significantly bigger than the $11 and change check that they got last week. Of course, Muriel comes out and tries to put a claim on that, even though the Haggers are barely able to afford their bills after the check that they receive. They've got a lot of expenses. But Muriel wants a little bit of that because, that's kind of her whole deal. Well, of course, there's a little bit more to explain there because the son that Muriel had was still in question until Muriel shows a photo of a young boy in a bathing suit, and Charlie recognizes, oh, the Haggers men all have six toes on one of their feet. I think it's the left foot. We can review. We'll probably hear about that if it comes up at all today. But that is something that identifies someone as a Haggers man. Then we come back to the Shumways, and Martha and George and Grandpa. They start by talking about the wedding shower for Kathy. That doesn't necessarily go too far because it's kind of a silly talk about having a Tupperware party so people can buy their presents for the wedding at the party. I don't know, it's confusing. And then, you know, Grandpa has a moment where he says that he misses Roberta. That was very sweet because, I don't think they've been together for months at this point. I kind of don't remember when they broke up. And then Tom comes over and has a little bit. He comes over for kind of vague reasons. George gets on to him about union stuff at work because apparently Tom is shaking things up. Then Martha brings up Mary because, of course, everyone's worried about Mary. Then Mary comes over and she has a fit because people are talking about her, even though I don't know whether she actually heard it or if she was just kind of gathering from the tone in the room. She said she woke up with her ears burning and came over. And, that's where our episode kind of ends, or at least as much as I can remember. That is the recap of the April 13th, 1976 episode. Let's go ahead and begin April 14th, the Wednesday episode of 1976.
Just can't believe it.
Believe what, honey?
That today's the day.
Well, it ain't yesterday and it ain't tomorrow, so it's gotta be.
Oh, you know what I mean. Oh, you were leaving. I mean, just think tomorrow we'll be riding down the streets of Hollywood just like the movie stars do, you know? Well, I want to go someplace real glamorous, Charlie. Except
Except what, honey? What's the matter?
well, you know how I read about everything in the fan magazines and movie magazines and all? And I read that they don't even have any fancy nightclubs there anymore. Now they got these disco things. You know, like Mira's Pit Stop out on the highway. And guess what else?
What else?
Private clubs that are very expensive. They cost $1,000 just to join. And then when you go, it costs you more money on top of that to dance and stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
That's not how I remember things in the 80s.
Shake of me.
I know. Charlie, just like you'll be getting to see your very own son after all these years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. I mean, Muriel said she'd wait till we got back from Hollywood.
Then you're sure you don't mind going first?
Mind? Are you out of your mind? Honey, your career means the most to me. This is your career, honey. Nothing comes before that.
You mean even seeing your very own son?
Even, no matter how much it means to me to see my very own son for the first time, not even that.
Of course, that does mean we won't be able to stay in Hollywood that long after the Dinah show.
I know. With Muriel here in the house and all. Sure hope she doesn't sell it out from under us.
Charlie.
Or burn it. Or give it a scar.
Oh, you're just my big old fuss buddy baby boy.
You know something? I think that in spite of all our ups and downs, this is maybe just about one of our best weeks.
Oh, Charlie, every week's a good week when I'm with you.
Honey, but I mean, even with Muriel hovering over us like the angel of death.
Charlie, don't say that.
Well, all I'm saying is that what I'm trying to say is it's like whoever said it's an ill wind that doesn't blow somebody some good.
My Uncle Cotton.
He was right. Because, honey, look, I mean, we could have got to Nashville. We could have got to Nashville and just got lost in the crowd. Well, I mean, I could have got lost in the crowd amongst all them record jobbers and them rack jobbers and the record promoters and the A&R men and all like that. You wouldn't have got lost in any crowd. Because you always come out shining like a daisy. I mean that. You do.
Oh, thank you. But, you know, that's a good example of how bad things turned to good, you know, because we lost the tape, but then Clyde took them.
That's just what I mean.
Detroit, I mean, you know.
That's just what I mean.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's Muriel. You know, how you said she would bring doom to her doorstep.
Right. And then Timmy turns up. So that it all works out, see?
It's amazing. Charles, do you think that I'll be a good mother to a 14-year-old kid? I mean, you know, since I'm only 22.
I think you'd be the best.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think he'll mind me, you know, or just kind of laugh at me because my room's just as messy as his?
Honey, this room doesn't get any less messy because we never give it a rest long enough.
Yeah, that's true. That's an idea. But, you know, I just thought of something. We'll finally give it a rest because we're going to go to Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. It'll be the first time we're sleeping in a strange bed together.
That's right. I got another idea.
What?
Well, since this is going to be the first time, and first times is always important, you know, and especially since this first time is going to be in Hollywood, I think we'd better do something to make it real special and remember, if you know what I mean.
I have never forgot a night yet.
miss them being like that.
I know how to talk about it. I'm trying to defrost my frost-free refrigerator.
But Mary, she is your only sister. Now, if you're gonna take an attitude...
What do you mean take an attitude? I'm not taking any kind of an attitude. What I'm taking is I'm taking hot water over to the freezer and I'm going to put it in there. I just can't believe how the ice builds up like that.
Alice, why don't you take a little cool water while you're at it for this poor, thirsty little grape ivy?
Oh, is that what that is?
Mary, how can you not know the name of your very own plant in your very own kitchen, huh?
Mother, when you gave it to me, we just never had a formal introduction. That's it. You get out of the way. This is hot stuff.
Oh. Is that the attitude you're going to take?
What do you mean? Is what the attitude I'm going to take?
That you're just not going to bother?
With what? The plant?
No, Kathy's wedding.
Mother, I have no interest at all in Kathy's wedding.
Well, then you just listen to me, and I'll talk about what you are going to do.
For Kathy's wedding?
Yes. Now, please don't make things more difficult for me. Don't you understand how difficult it is to plan a wedding for a girl nowadays, even if she has decided to actually marry in the first place?
I'm not trying to make things difficult for you.
Yes, but you're not helping. Don't you understand how I feel? Now, I know we have financial limitations, but I want to give Kathy the best. This is the most important day in a girl's life. At least the first time. But, Mary, I can't afford to give Kathy the best. You know what I wanted? I wanted the Belmer Lounge at the Bestwick Hotel, but your dad said no. No, he said too much. Before I had even found out how much it was. Oh, this poor little grape ivy is dying. It is dying.
It's just tired, Ma. It's taking on the personality of its owner.
Oh, and Mary, I wanted an accordion for live music and flowers. Oh, lots of flowers. But flowers are so expensive now. And nobody plays the accordion anymore.
How long before milk turns?
It depends on how old it is.
3 weeks.
Oh.
It must have been in the back.
My first choice was the Viking room at the Holiday Inn. But do you know that they wanted $11 a person if you sat down?
How much if you stood?
No, that, Mary, that means a sit-down dinner. Then, Mary, there was the Pioneer room at the Ramada Inn, but oh, their color scheme is so awful. It just wouldn't go with the bridal party at all. You know, chartreuse, red, black, oh, all those terrible colors. So, all that was left that I could find at all was the presidential suite at the Quality. But then when I mentioned Kathy Shumway, they gave me a funny, smirky smile as if they knew who she was, so I decided against that right then and there.
So what are you going to do?
I thought we could use your living room.
Mine?
Mm-hmm. You know, your carpeting is newer than ours, and then you have that little dining area kind of all together, which would give us a lot more space. And you see, if I spend $500 on reupholstering the couch in your daddy's easy chair, then I wouldn't be able to afford the wedding.
I am not having the wedding in my living room.
Well, why, Mary?
Because I am just not.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just for your sister. You know that. And you know, it would be very convenient for you because then you see, you wouldn't have to carry over your all butter pecan nut cake that you're going to bake.
That I'm going to bake?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's Kathy's very favorite thing next to Dennis. Now, you can't deny your very own sister her favorite thing on her very own wedding day. Now, can you?
Mother, I am not going to bake an all butter pecan nut cake for this wedding.
Mary,
a lot of cholesterol. Now, you know what butter is and something like that. I mean, you gotta remember, there are gonna be men there as well as women. I mean, we could start an entire epidemic of coronary occlusion. Butter goes immediately straight through to the ventricle.
Oh, you know what you could serve with it? That low-calorie, safflower imitation iced milk.
No, no, you don't seem to get the point. Dennis could have a heart attack. And then Kathy would be a widow before they even had a honeymoon. I mean, obviously this wedding should be called off.
But Mary, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that possibly this wedding is not a good idea. That possibly Dennis is the wrong choice for Kathy. I mean, who knows anything about him, right? Did he take a blood test? Did the results come back yet? I mean, look at his work. Look at his line of his work, huh? The man could get shot, and then Kathy be a widow again. I mean, is Kathy aware of any of this?
Well, no.
And Ma, Kathy is not tall. I mean, she may look tall, but that's because of her hair. She's actually not a tall girl.
You mean, she's not old enough because short people get married all the time, Mary.
What?
You know, mature.
Ma, I'm talking about everything. I mean everything. I'm just pointing out a lot of the features on Kathy. I mean, I'm just saying why this wouldn't be such a great idea.
Hi.
Oh gosh, I see y'all are doing what I hate to do, defrosting a frost refrigerator. You know that mine built up so thick with ice and everything once that all I could get in it was just this teensy little bag of frozen niblets. That's all.
We're talking about Kathy's wedding.
Oh, I hope it isn't in the next couple of days because you know I'm going to be in Hollywood and everything.
Oh, you're going sightseeing in Hollywood. Oh, Loretta, that is so nice.
Well, actually, I'm going to do a little bit more than sightseeing. I'm going to be on Dinah's show. Oh, you know, plug my record, and oh, we're going to talk about so much more. It just seems like I'm a whole fan magazine just talking about it, you know.
Oh, you know, I just realized, I just feel so bad because I really wanted to talk about it with you, and we haven't had a chance. I mean, you've been so busy with Nero and all, and I've been just so busy with, you know, and I don't know, there was so much I wanted to ask you about, and now you're leaving suddenly.
Mary?
What?
Mary, what about your refrigerator?
Oh, I don't know, just let it drip or stick or stop.
Now, these are the things you're set for.
You didn't have any trouble getting in, did you?
Oh, no. I just said I wanted to see that bigwig that you told me to say, and sounded kind of impatient, and they gave me this pass. Only instead of Clyde Muncie, it says Millard Muncie.
Millard, I know him. He works here.
Well, I just let it pass.
I wonder what Millard will do when he gets to the gate.
Well, now, first thing is, you're set for the Dinah show on the 19th.
Right.
And you're going on United's Deluxe Chicago night flight. That's on account of it stops at Chicago. And you're staying at the famous Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel.
I used to work at the
This is
Roosevelt.
where they used to put up the guests for This Is Your Life.
Loretta will love that. Except I don't know if she's old enough to remember This Is Your Life.
Well, Liberace's brother used to play in the lounge, they tell me. Maybe that'll help.
Right. Go on.
Oh, we got you a book of 49 dinner tickets, half price.
Oh, thank you, Clyde. Thank you.
Of course, I don't know if you're going to be able to use them all. Then, you got an interview with Rona Barrett's leg woman.
Leg woman?
Yeah.
Her what?
Leg woman.
She got something wrong with her legs?
No. That's just someone who does the runaround work while she gets her hair lacquered and all.
Oh, for a minute there I had a picture in my mind somebody had to carry her legs around.
Well, look, after the Dinah show, you got a meeting with Arthur Lipschitz.
Really?
He's gonna book Loretta into his hotel in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas? What hotel?
The Mexicali. It's right down the street from the Sands. I think they use their old slot machines. And your Loretta will be right there in the famous south of the border agent that I want you to meet, he says there might be a part in AIP's movie that's coming up.
Really? What's it called?
Blood Monster of Macon County Beach. I think that's the title. Anyway, they want Loretta for the hoedown sequence. That's if she looks good in a bikini.
Oh, you know she does. You gotta believe it.
Well, look, I gotta get back to the studio. We're recording some 30-second spots for Aunt Mima's leather goods.
Oh, well, listen, Clyde, I don't know how to thank you. I mean, I know this coffee here isn't much by way of thanks, but I don't have any other way. Thanks a lot.
Don't worry about it. I'm getting a 15% finder's fee from our brother's recording company that released Baby Boy. Bye, Charlie.
Bye. Blood Monsters of Macon County Beach. What's for dinner?
I'm fine. How are you?
Huh?
What's for dinner is not a greeting. It's also not a kiss hello.
Well, I said hi.
Spaghetti.
And what?
Sauce. Spaghetti sauce.
Hey, what's the matter with you?
Nothing. Where's Heather? What's for dinner? Where's Heather? What's for dinner?
Hey, are you okay?
No, I'm not.
What's the matter?
Loretta came over to tell me that she was leaving and to say goodbye, and I just realized how much I'm really gonna miss her.
Look, I talked to Charlie at the plant, you know, and he said goodbye, and I said goodbye. I didn't get depressed about it, sweetheart.
I'm not depressed. I'm not depressed. I mean, I am. I'm happy for her. I'm really happy for her. It's just something.
What is it?
Oh, no, don't touch that. You get green goddess all over your fingers, and you get your fingers all over the green goddess. It's just because I know she's gonna go there and she's gonna be with all those, she's gonna be on that diet show, she's gonna be on television, and she's gonna be with all those movie stars, and then she's not gonna want to come back, to Fernwood, Ohio, where we are, and we're just little people now, I mean, she's not gonna want to be with people that have a 2 for 89-cent dinner of spaghetti.
What are you afraid of, huh? You afraid Loretta's gonna forget her old friends,
I'm afraid she's gonna forget me. No, she's gonna be there, she's gonna be with a lot of, hit people and all, and she's gonna like it there. I mean, she's not
They're gonna come home. They're gonna come right home to Fernwood, Charlie and Loretta, and they're gonna live right next door.
Let me tell you something. They're gonna buy a car that costs more than their home here. That's what they're gonna do. They are gonna do it, and they're gonna live next to Glenn and Rita.
Glenn and Rita.
Yeah, that's Ford and Hayworth. I read it in a magazine. They live next to each other. Sometimes they even, one of them is chicken. Oh, what have I got? Look what I have. I have spaghetti that boils over.
You got a husband, you got a man you married. Been married to for 12 years. 12 years before you even knew Loretta.
Oh, Tom, come on. Don't take all this personally.
Well, I'm not taking it personally, but it was a personal remark. Sometimes I don't think you really listen to what you say.
I know.
Maybe if you junk that stud business, huh?
Exactly. And give up, any chance of help that I have. I'll just focus all my attention in on you and Heather and the kitchen. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't love you and Heather and even the kitchen. And I really don't even think the stick thing is working. It's not going to work. But I mean, look
Roberta still has to stay. Right?
Yeah, but I don't think it's doing any good. I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah. Honey, look, I don't mean to be mean or anything, but you know, this little knowledge I know, it's very important to you, right? But when I come home from work, you know, I like to have at least, 5 minutes to relax, look at the mail and everything. So, I'll be in here for you.
There's some new Glade air freshener in the hamper. No one cares. The only piece of happiness I have is that my best friend may become a superstar. But if she becomes one, I probably will have lost her as my best friend. Tom, I just want you to know that tomorrow at 3:30 in the afternoon, you're going to be watching Loretta on TV, so don't be so indifferent. What am I going to do when I don't have anyone to talk to?
So Martha wants to have the wedding in the living room set of Mary's home. I mean, if it were a fictional home. In a real home, it would be just in the living room. But, I know that there's a practical situation where creating a whole set for a wedding is something that they may not have the real estate to really do in this show. You know, what with an episode every day and all that. It's just hard. So, uh, Mary says no to having the wedding there, and we'll see when it actually happens, whether it actually happens. When I'm sure there'll be some kind of wedding scene, or I would expect one, just because it's how things heighten in TV shows. That seems to be imminent. Mary doesn't want Kathy to be with Dennis, and I think rightly so. I just wish that she could be a lot more open about why. Martha has no idea what Mary is thinking right now. I think that is to Mary's it is not to Mary's benefit to keep this secret, even if she's somehow culpable in the situation. I don't know if culpable is the right word, but she does feel a certain amount of responsibility, I would presume, or I seem to feel like there's some kind of sense of responsibility happening here. Only it's not being verbalized. It's not saying, "Hey, Dennis is really into me and he's made out with me a couple times." I guess that's a difficult thing to say around family. I think Kathy, well, she did try to tell Kathy, and Kathy is distressed about that, as we saw last episode. So there it is. And then Loretta starting to make plans to go be on the Dinah show, and that becomes a thing that is much more real than when Loretta was moving away to Nashville, like before the car accident, which, as far as we can tell, Loretta has completely recovered from, other than the money, the, doctor's bills, which I think they should not be. I think there was lots of reasons for them to avoid paying those doctor's bills. Then Clyde breaks down the whole elaborate plan for what's going on in Los Angeles, the Dinah show, apparently Rona Barrett, a trip to Vegas. There's a lot going on in their trip. I don't expect to actually see a lot of that, just because of, like I said, having multiple sets is a thing this show really doesn't seem to do. It really feels like their sets are pretty cramped, and that's just the space that they've got. But maybe I'll be wrong, and maybe we will see some places that we just haven't seen before. I mean, I don't think we've seen a single set outside of Fernwood, other than like the highway, which was just outside of Fernwood. Anyway, then we come back and Mary is still distressed and is really feeling that pressure. She's feeling the pressure of Kathy's marriage. She's feeling the pressure of Loretta leaving. And I don't know. I think most of the stories I hear about superstars, they do keep their friends, the people who are really close to them, you know. But drama, drama, drama. That's just how things work. So that was the April 14th, 1976 episode, the middle of week 15. We've got a bit more to come, so thanks for coming along, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.